Welcome to the First Brief, a space where real lawyers share real journeys. Today I'm accompanied with a lawyer whose career shows passion, perseverance, and purpose, a litigator from Calcutta High Court, and a partner of a law firm called Law Specious, Advocate Abradeep Jha. Thank you for being here, Abradeep. How are you?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Saurav. Thank you for welcoming me to this show.
Thank you.
And it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you, Abradeep. Let's, so how it is? How's your day going?
It always goes fantastic, and today is exceptionally fantastic.
Okay, that's wonderful. So let's move ahead with the show and let's
Yeah.
ask you the first question. How do you describe yourself, Pradeep, in 3 words as a lawyer and as a person?
As a person, I would say that I'm an entrepreneur and an investor,
Okay,
enthusiast and adventurous.
okay.
And as a lawyer, I would say that I am a relief consultant.
Relief
Now, yeah,
as in?
that's basically the ambit of what I do.
Okay,
So, since we run, I'm one of the partners of a law firm, and we always aim to explore
yeah,
some unidentified areas of law
okay,
that are really explored. Law
okay.
is a very conventional industry, but there are a lot of non-conventional opportunities,
Yeah,
and that is what, because people don't, clients or people in trouble, they approach us for disputes, they approach us for release, they don't approach us regarding uh, legal solutions always.
no,
A solution to a problem, maybe in legal, maybe psychological, maybe in negotiation, maybe in mediation. Everything doesn't translate to a bare act. Yeah, bare act is a very big part of law and not disputing its existence, but
yeah,
then again I set my views on encompassing the all over aspect of law instead of sticking to the strictly bookish regime.
okay. That's that's nice. That's really wonderful. So,
Great, thank you.
so as things went ahead, what first drew you to the legal profession? Was it a planned journey from your side, or was it just a twist of fate that you entered this profession?
Well, this is a really funny question,
Yeah.
and I am really inspired to lie here, but anyway, I'll settle for the truth this time.
Okay.
So the point being that I really wish I could have said that I was driven by a burning passion of justice or some
Mm.
kind of very glorious backdrop that brought me to legal profession. But unfortunately, none of that is true.
Okay.
Basically, I flunked in all other subjects. And since beggars cannot be choosers, I coincidentally managed to crack law, so I entered law.
Most of the
There is,
most most of the
so it
interviews
is
like
basically,
this, most of the interviews like this end up like, "Ki, I planned for it. I had a good value towards justice. I wanted to make something change the law." But this was really awesome.
well, sort of.
Yeah.
You must have heard of the term Plan Z. I think you must have heard of the term, like this Plan A, Plan B, and
Mm.
law was my Plan Z. So basically, I had nowhere else to go.
Okay.
I sat for n number of examinations. I did not crack anything else. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely say that my Plan Z has ended up being a blueprint for a much larger journey. So it is no longer a Plan Z. But then again, at that point of time, it was not so.
But your plan C is going good, right?
Yeah, the Plan Z is going much better than I expected. Even coincidentally speaking, like my Plan A might not have gone that well.
Yeah, right. So, looking back at your law school,
Yeah.
what's one thing that you have learned outside the classroom that changed your journey?
Okay. So, very fundamentally speaking, looking back at my law school, I'll approach the question in an albeit roundabout manner.
Mhm.
Almost nothing I have learned inside the classroom is really very important in my world today.
Okay.
Whatever I apply in my current day profession, almost everything was learned outside the classroom. So, I will just settle for one example because there cannot be that one word, or I cannot really shortlist that one particular aspect that I learned. But one very important thing I learned in law school was networking. Most
Okay.
of the other things I learned in my profession, but I learned the value of networking during my law school, something that is not taught in the books. As I say, that law is often treated as a very conventional subject, but there are a lot of unexplored, unconventional areas in the subject.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's the trust that matters.
Mm.
I understand knowledge is very important, But then again, let's say I am very knowledgeable. I know I am very knowledgeable, but who else knows that? Ultimately, others need to know that I am knowledgeable just
Hmm.
to make sure that they come to me. So that happens to trust, because the person who is assuming that I am knowledgeable, that person is not knowledgeable. So we are basically judged by people who do not have the capability to judge us. Now that is where networking comes along. You have to present your trustability in such a manner where you tell that you are learned and people fathom that you are learned. And that is where trust and networking comes along. And that is something I learned outside the classrooms of law school. Maybe inside the union room, maybe around the premises, maybe while dating with girls, a lot of ways. But yeah, that's where I learned.
So these things
That's where I
generally,
started learning. I'm still learning, but that's
hmm.
where I started learning.
So this is generally with time people get to know. Some get to know a bit faster, or some get to know about these things after spending a lot of years in confusion, right?
Right.
So let's move ahead. So, do
Yeah.
you have any role models in law or in life that influenced your path?
Okay. So I will stick to law for this answer because life is going to be really, really broad, and we do intend to end this in a reasonably timeline manner.
Now, if you want it to happen for 2 hours, we don't have any time constraint, right? It's about your
No, I
time.
understand that.
It's about your
But
time.
that
Yeah.
no, I understand that, but still I'll stick to law.
Okay.
So yeah, in law I had a series of role models. I won't disclose their names right here because the names are not very relevant. What
Yes.
is really relevant is what I learned from every particular role model.
Yes.
But
That's important.
one thing I will say, like in answer to my previous question, you said something that people always learn it. Some learn it sooner, some learn it later.
Yeah.
Now, people who learn it sooner are usually the early bloomers. And I would like to say that I'm one.
Yeah.
So, what I learned very early on in life is, or very early on in the legal career, is that you need clarity.
Hmm.
One thing that I will harp on, like again, maybe I'll feature the same thing again and again in my future questions, but I got it from one of my mentors. He was coincidentally not a very acclaimed legal professionals, but then again, sometimes we learn lessons from people who are not very acclaimed themselves. He
Okay.
told me this, that gain clarity. And he told me one very important line that I abide by in all my principles. He told me, never have a plan B. The moment you have a plan B, it means you do not have confidence in your plan A. And that came to me at a time when I was parallelly thinking of going for LLM, teaching law, going for judiciary, practicing law as a counsel, opening a solicitor firm. I was like basically everything that can be done under the ambit of law. My
Hmm.
plan was everywhere. And that is when he told me, do not have a plan B. Have a plan A, give everything to your plan A, and your plan A is going to work. So that is all about my mentors, I think.
It's like keeping your options until you find one that is perfect for you. And once you find that one, give it your everything.
Basically, I think that everything hangs on a balance. Now
Hmm.
you have to optimize your time. Let's say you say that I'll take 1 year to decide my line,
Hmm.
because if you keep on thinking, if you keep on contemplating, then contemplation is such a thing that never ends.
Yeah.
So you might have contemplated till a certain point of time. I will just cite someone else. He is not my direct role model, but then he's the role model of the whole globe to a certain extent.
Hmm.
I will quote Steve Jobs.
Hmm.
Probably around the year 2014. I'm not certain of the year, but the quote was this. So the Apple marketing team asked Steve Jobs
Hmm.
for a market survey regarding launch of an iPhone product.
Okay.
Steve Jobs said that Apple does not do market survey because people never know what they want until I tell them what they want.
Yeah.
Now that is the confidence that Steve Jobs had in his vision. He had no confidence in the people's vision, in the consumer's vision. Basically, the quote goes on to enlighten that the consumers do not have any vision at all.
Hmm.
Similarly, like if we keep on, the problem about that is why the consumers have no vision. That is because most of the people are thinking too much. Okay, I'll think this, I'll think that, I'll think this, I'll think that. It is about, there can be two ways of thinking it. One way is the colloquial way. The colloquial way is picking the right decision.
Hmm.
And then there is the Steve Jobs way. It is my way as I have imbibed it. That is taking a decision and making it right. You can never take the perfect decision. Life is always crossroads, and every time you walk one way, you will always think the other way could have gone better. But one thing you can always do is choose your way and make sure that you keep walking that way with the maximum pace that you can fathom, and make sure that way turns out to be the right way.
Yeah. Sure, this is something important and insightful to be hearing
Thanks.
from a person like you. It's really wonderful, right? So
Right. Thanks
that,
for the appreciation.
Sorry. We generally, the appreciation comes from the things which you are sharing with us, right? Those things are very important to the people in this profession who are generally stuck somewhere, or they are confused with something like what they want to do, what they don't want to do, going wrong. Even some of them don't understand what's going wrong. Things needs to be crystal clear in their mind, like what they need to do to move ahead or to get a stable profession in their life, right?
Yeah. So basically, it's like I will just take that quote from Three Idiots. I cannot quote it verbatim, but
हम्म,
where Rancho said,
हम्म,
अगर लता मंगेशकर को पापा उसके बोलते थे कि बेटी तू फास्ट बॉलर बन जा तो कैसे होता है.
तो कैसे
So
होता.
it's like we need, so we need a psychological and overall understanding of the
हम्म,
particular candidate. I
हम्म,
need to understand myself, who I want to be in life, who I
हम्म,
want to be in life, what I'm suited to be in life. Like right now, I have been practicing law for around 10 years, a little bit less than 10 years,
हम्म,
and I think I have done reasonably well.
हम्म,
But what would I have achieved if I had gone on decided that I would be a boxer, let's say?
हम्म,
uh, yeah, I would train well. Let's say I train very hard, I do everything within my capability, and I do everything that I should have done to become a very good boxer. But I don't think I would have made it to the stage where I am now. I don't think I would have made it to a really, yeah, obviously I would have been a better boxer than I am today, in all probability. But then again, I really wouldn't have made the name that I'm going to do in this line. So, choosing your industry, choosing your discipline, choosing your school, it depends on your mentality, your vision, your lifestyle, your choices. I need to understand whether I want to be a workaholic, whether I want to have a family life, whether I want to settle for a 9 to 5 job, whether I want to do something out of the box,
हम्म,
whether I am willing to toil away for 5 years of my life to get a better retirement plan early in my life, or
हम्म,
whether I would settle that I will enjoy my job all along. So
हम्म.
there are a lot of ifs and buts. I think that probably this question is coming on later in this seminar, but then again, I would say the question that I was looking forward to is what makes you different or what makes you pick the right path early. I think that I have chosen my path early. I don't think there is any such thing called the right path. It is my path. So there may be some different way for someone. Two roads diverge a narrow wood, and I took the one less traveled by. Doesn't mean everyone has to take the one less traveled by.
I'm just thinking what would have happened if plan A or plan B would have worked.
If plan A or plan B would have worked, then probably I would have at a certain stage designed something. So I have this particular thing right here.
Think out of the
I
box.
don't know whether,
I
yeah.
have seen it. I've seen it before.
So
Okay.
basically, if
Yeah.
my plan A and plan B had worked, plan A and plan B were not out of the box. Plan A and plan B were very much
Plan
inside the
C
box.
was
So probably,
out of the box.
yeah, I way to take it out of the box. I would have found a way to make the plan A and plan B not work, and then again resort to a plan Z, which I would
Plan
make
C.
work.
Yes. So let's move ahead.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
do you remember how was your first brief? Do you remember anything of that matter?
Uh, there might have been like basically first brief is a bit confusing because there were some briefs that I had dealt partly into and there were other briefs that came totally into me. So I will just mention about one of my very early briefs. I think that is the first brief that I handled in toto from the beginning to the
Hmm.
end. So the particular brief was about a matter where my client had taken a loan from someone and he had not repaid it. And
Okay.
the particular person from whom the loan was taken was suffering a lot of distress. He was in acute distress. He
Okay.
was in a kind of destitution. So that particular brief for me was a kind of a tussle between emotional justification or a tussle between what seemed like ethics to me and professionalism.
Okay.
So the biggest advantage of that brief was the complainant who had drafted the brief. He had
Hmm.
done a lot of errors while drafting it. He had
Okay.
gotten it done through an absolutely incompetent litigant, I would say, which led us to win the case, which led us to getting all the criminal proceedings quashed because the way the complaint was drafted, it was totally civil in nature. but they had lost a criminal case.
Yeah.
This, in essence, like that was my first brief, and that brief gave me a lot of exposure. But I would think like this, in essence, has taught me a very big thing in my life from that particular brief and many others.
Mm.
Basically, it is all about how you present a case.
Yeah.
Let's say, sort of, your wallet is lying in front of you. I'm in front of you. I pick up the wallet and I leave. Now, what separates it from a criminal case to a civil case? What is the bridge? The
Mm.
bridge is mens rea. Whether I did it with a guilty mind or I did it with a bona fide mind.
Yeah.
Now, that is something, mens rea is something that can never be found out, no matter how big a legal system is, no matter how fantastic an investigation squad we have. What went on inside my mind at that given moment? Like,
Mm.
let's say 6 months later, some CBI team is going to say what happened on June 14, 5:33 p.m. inside my brain. They don't even know what is going inside my brain right now,
Yeah.
let alone 6 months later. So mainstream is something that can only be orchestrated. It can never be proved. So
Mm-hmm.
that taught me that you should design mainstream to yield the cases in your favor, and that is something I carry on with me till today.
You have a long memory. You remember everything of that meeting, right?
No, I remember parts that really impacted me. I have a very bad memory.
Even
Like
that
I'm
is
always getting scolded for that.
even that is much important, na? You remember things that had happened 10 years before, and you are like, damn, I will say everything. I know everything which has changed that things to me, which has impacted me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I remember what impacted me. That's what I carry on with me.
Yes, even
I forget everything that is redundant, but I remember stuff.
don't say those things in my show. You forget, right? Like things you remember it very nicely. So let's move
Yeah,
ahead.
thank.
So Pradeep, how was the early years of your litigation and practice? Anything
Okay.
you want to give like,
So the early years of my litigation, they were filled with confusion.
okay.
I was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So the first time I entered law, like it's the first time I entered the courtroom, it was in Calcutta High Court as an intern. So I was basically loitering around a huge building,
Hmm.
feeling like I was the most useless and most insignificant creature that existed inside the building.
Okay.
Because I had gone from law college, I didn't have a brief or anything to do exactly. So I
Mm-hmm.
was just tailing the senior with whom I was doing an internship.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the senior was nice and everything was nice. But then again, the biggest problem that I faced in the early years. So
Mm-hmm.
when, like I just told in the previous questions of my interview that I had been a very mediocre student prior to pursuing law,
Mm-hmm.
but I had always found a way to get my job done without going into the rigors that most people do.
Okay.
So that happened for school, that happened for law college, and
Mm-hmm.
for the first time I went to court, I was again looking for shortcuts. I'm a person who has always absolutely loved shortcuts. I've always absolutely loved finding a way to do things without putting in the effort that other people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I am very good at that. But
Okay.
then again, I was totally clueless as to how I can amass the secrets of this big building.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many people bustling around, so many people, but it was the entire picture was totally unintelligible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly how were they getting matters, how were the matters being filed, how were the matters being heard. So I didn't know anything. Basically, it's like just diving into a new world.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it was exciting. I wouldn't say it was exciting. It was initially the very preliminary days were initially very boring, very monotonous for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell that for any particular viewer who is planning to come into litigation, that please be prepared for a certain period of boredom. Don't think it is a sweet picture from day one. I won't portray that. But then again, the initial days, like initial days is a very vague word, so how long you are looking at. But when the first 3 or 4 months passed, that
Mm-hmm.
is when things started getting exciting. The first 3 or 4 months, it is just like you have to be present there just to understand what is happening. And this particular phase of understanding is a very, very passive phase. There is no such direct input being fed to you. We are not computers that every day we are getting in data. So
Yep.
the data just seeps in from the ambience that we are in. I understand that period was very boring. I understand that I won't want to go through that period again given a choice. But I also understand that particular period was very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like sometime around maybe the around 6th month of my legal practice, I found out that I knew a lot of things. I knew how to get certain matters done. I knew how to get certain documents filed without even ever being actively taught about it.
Mm-hmm.
So my experience in litigation, my opening experience into litigation is how just being in a place, just surviving in within those four walls can infuse it you with a kind of knowledge that is otherwise very rarely available. I
Mhm.
was not taught about that in law school. I was not taught about that in corporate law firms. That is the first place I got to know.
Even I believe, even being present at that scene in the court, in the bar library, even that teaches. Even you don't do anything, just sit around there with your senior. That teaches you enough.
Precisely.
And I think
Exactly. That is
that's why
what
it
taught
is
me most.
monotonous and that's why it is boring. It's boring just because of
Kind
that.
of.
But it teaches you a deal, it teaches you a great deal of sense, like what's coming to you. You need to be
Exactly.
prepared. You need to be
Yeah.
standing on your foot. It's not like
Yes.
your mind will keep on from Calcutta to Delhi and you want to practice litigation, right?
Kind of.
Yes.
So
So
basically, the initial, very initial days are days you have to survive. That's all.
yeah. So let's move ahead. It is just
Yeah.
money. It's just wonderful session going on, and I think a lot of junior lawyers or the newcomers will get huge insights out of it. I'll not say some
So
more. I'll say huge. Okay. So
I really
let's.
hope they do.
Nay, they will. They will. So let's move ahead with the next question for you. Like, how do you handle your moments of self doubt or stagnation in your career? If any you had, how you have dealt with it?
Okay. So I remember one quote of Gaur Gopal Das. He's one of the like leading missionaries of Ramakrishna Mission, probably.
Mhm.
So the quote was like, in any kind of situation, you can put it into two options if you
Mhm.
think with clarity. I think the one word that helps me survive moments of self doubt and moments of pressure is clarity.
Mhm.
So I categorize the troubles into two parts. Troubles, one I can deal with and one I cannot deal with.
Mhm.
So the quote that I was originally referring to from Dr. Guru Gopal Das, the quote was, "Can you do anything about it? Then do it.
Mhm.
Can you not do anything about it? Then why worry?" And then again, if you have done what you can do, is
Mhm.
there anything more you can do about it? Then do it. If
Mhm.
there is nothing more you can do about it, then why worry? So that why worry has been a very significant role in my life. A
Okay.
lot of time, I think a lot of, like, basically, see, even if I try to engage spirituality to deal with my problems, doesn't make me spiritual per se.
Okay. Yeah.
So very often I find myself in a situation that I'm pressed, and then again I try to apply these tools that I have acquired in my life,
Mhm.
that I categorize problems into two categories. Can I solve them? Can I not solve them? If I cannot solve them, then I categorize what exactly have I lost or what exactly have I suffered in
Mhm.
lieu of not being able to solve that. So let's say a particular matter, the result did not go as expected, or a particular client did not react as expected, or maybe some kind of trouble arose. So when I think it clearly that, okay, first, in the first moments, I feel I'm very pressed, I'm worried, everything is going wrong, what the hell will I do? Everything is going down the drain, I should quit the profession, I should find something else to do. A lot of squabble, wobble, and all that thing rushing around our markets.
Mhm.
Then, okay, I have suffered for it enough, because every moment that I am contemplating the negative aspects of it, the person who is suffering is me. So now let me get this sorted. What can I do? Okay,
Okay.
question one, what can I do? Okay, there are some options. I can do this, I can do that. Do I want to do this? No, I do not want to do any of those. Okay, then question two, what exactly have I lost? And the moment I ask myself this question, the moment I try to write down in a piece of paper what exactly have I lost, I find out that, okay, this is only one brief out of the 350 briefs I'm handling. I'm not saying it is justified, but the moment this is gone, this is gone. I can do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And the problem is not as big as I was thinking it to be. It
Okay.
is nothing in my overall life. Yeah, to you it is a big deal. But in my overall life, 5 years from now, let alone 5 years, 5 days from now, this is not going to matter. I'll find out new problems. And problems which do not affect me 5 years or 5 months from now are not really problems. They are manifestations of our mind. So basically, I deal with them with clarity. I try to deal with them with clarity. Not always I'm successful, but then again, that's how I generally handle them.
Nice. That's nice. So, what helped you grow in this field? Like mentorship, the community we have, or the experience you had in? practice or litigation?
Okay. So basically, this particular question puts in almost 2 to 3 parameters. So
Okay.
what helped me grow? The first question would be the parameters that you suggested. One is the experience, one is the mentality, and another is the mentors.
No, it's not.
Right? Did I get the question right?
No, it's not the mentality. It's the community we have, the community of lawyers we enter into after entering
Okay.
this profession. That one,
Okay.
the mentorship and the experience you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely the community of lawyers that we have was important. The
Yeah.
community of lawyers, my family, my surroundings, everything has its own place of importance. But then again, in this particular show, I would prefer to highlight things that were exceptionally unique.
Mm-hmm.
The exceptionally unique thing that I think changed the course of my life. Like, I would like to say, at least 2 to 3 years into my legal profession, I
Mm-hmm.
was really not anywhere. I was really lost.
Okay.
So, what changed was introspection, and as I said in my last question, clarity. I introspected and I found clarity as to what I wanted to do, what I should do, where I should get going.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is exactly what started my journey in the right place.
All right.
Whenever any junior or any employee joins my firm or anyone else I mentor, I always tell them one thing: go through a SWOT. So there is this thing called SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the foundation of where you should be. Like, if you're among the elite blessed ones, I have seen a few people in their life who already know where they want to be without even introspecting. Now, if you are one of those blessed people who know where they want to be without even introspecting, then you are on a different parameter. I don't belong to that. I
Okay.
am a person who needed to look into myself very thoroughly, who needed to look into myself with rigorous honesty and clarity to
Mm-hmm.
understand where I wanted to be. And I think most people fall into that category.
Okay.
Once you start identifying the issues within yourself, the problems and the advantages, we
Mm-hmm.
are all filled with a lot of pros and a lot of cons. Once those become clear to you, what you should do become automatically clear to you. So that is what started setting me apart. I had a certain kind of understanding. I cannot say exactly where that understanding came from,
Mm-hmm.
but that understanding about my strengths and weaknesses. And I think that is my biggest pros, that I am extremely admissive. I am extremely aware of my weaknesses. Because I am extremely aware of my weaknesses, I can deal with them much better than most people can. I think denying your weaknesses doesn't get you anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's
for
like
instance,
acknowledging them goes or takes you up, right? It's
your voice
acknowledging
broke up, sir. I didn't get you.
it's acknowledging your weaknesses and taking care of them in the best way possible. I think that's the thing which takes people out of the mask.
Acknowledging the weaknesses. Yeah.
So, how your views about success in this legal field have evolved over the time? Like the success in your mind when you started and the success now which Apradeep has in his mind today. How it has evolved, or it is the same?
Okay. No, I will say that parts of it is same, parts of it has evolved, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's be very honest here. The
Mhm.
first parameter of success is money. So
Yeah.
I don't think there is any point developing that part.
Hmm.
So that is what, from the very beginning, I was thinking that money is the only thing that defines success.
Yeah.
But then again, yeah, after the money, there comes in a few other things. That is the applause, the recognition,
Hmm.
making it the headlines, the win.
Hmm.
Then comes another phase where another very big important part comes, that is delivering it to the clients. The smile that you see in the client's face, the satisfaction that you feel after having successfully argued a matter, the satisfaction that you feel after giving someone some kind of relief, that is also very important.
Yeah.
So I would say, but there is another parameter after that. I'm coming to that later. But I would say my views have evolved in the sense, originally it was just about money. Very candidly speaking, I rose from very humble backgrounds. I did not rise from very humble backgrounds, to be honest. I had a particular family catastrophe that put me into very humble backgrounds.
Hmm.
Originally I was from a decent family background, but a particular issue landed me in a very bad position, landed my entire family in a very bad position, and from there I started my legal career. And at that time, money was the only thing that mattered.
Okay.
After a point, the situation stabilized. The family situation, my own financials is stabilized. And once it stabilized, I started realizing that there were some more things that mattered a bit. Yeah, obviously, money was still important. Money is something that we can never have too much of.
Yeah.
It is always better to cry in a Lamborghini, as I say. So then it became that, yeah, the applause is important, the headlines are important, the recognition is important, the client satisfaction is important. And the client satisfaction was the penultimate stage. The ultimate stage, which I realize now is very important, is peace. It is very hard to come in an industry of our sort, but peace, that is very important.
It's
So
generally not
basically,
there.
being at peace with yourself, I feel like that right now. Like basically, we always live in a world where there are continuous phone calls, barrages, important works getting done, bills getting briefed, everything, a lot of things happening, hustle and bustle going on. This is a very happening industry. Yeah,
Hmm.
law is slow, judiciary is slow, courts are slow, everything is okay. But then again, the industry is always hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
But amidst this hustle and bustle, I think that at a certain stage, you need to find peace within yourself. You need to find peace out there. If whatever out there is always disturbing your peace, then that is not really a sustainable working environment.
Hmm.
So I think that is what matters most in my life right now. I
Hmm.
obviously want to grow, I obviously want to make money, all of that while being peaceful.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, at a point I would say that all the materialistic desires are basically to fuel well-being. If the
But those
well-being
things,
is not there, then materials don't make
those,
sense.
but those things give you hunger in the beginning. We cannot even
Absolutely.
neglect that. We cannot neglect that. But yes, once you get stable, once you get going, after that you realize that those things don't matter much. I need peace now. Move to the next question of ours. So,
Sure, please do.
so what a mistake that taught you something crucial in life or in legal field? Anything you want to share?
Okay. So I think
Yeah.
one of the very big mistakes that I made early on in my life
Hmm.
was trying to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
Like there is a very common quote that you are not an ice cream seller or a fuchka vendor. You cannot make everyone happy. So I think the demands that a society, in as per my opinion, it includes everyone, starting from family, good friends, seniors, clients, everyone. It depends on the leverage that we give them. It depends on the latitude that we give them.
Yes.
So initially, I was so eager to please everyone that I ended up giving everyone too much latitude. And that much of latitude was something that I couldn't handle in the longer run. So initially, I started off as a lawyer who did not know anything. I did not have a brand. I did not have my clientele. I did not have money. So I realized that the only thing that I could sell was time.
Hmm.
And I sold every moment I had. So whenever anyone wanted me to be there, be it a senior, be it another law firm, be it a client, I started being there, being everywhere for everyone.
Hmm.
And that initially gain me some leverage. I
Hmm.
got some recognition when others might not have because I was there when no one else was there.
Hmm.
Amidst the off days of puja vacation,
Hmm.
every time I was there. But then after I started getting some work, I think that it is not a bad idea to start by being everywhere.
Hmm.
But I think it is very important to know when to quit. So I started being everywhere for everyone at a very early stage. That is what got me recognition. That is what got me connection. But I ended up dragging it a bit too long. I would suggest for someone new entering into the industry that for the first 2 months or maybe at most 3 months, slog like an animal. Be everywhere. Don't give a damn about your health. Don't give a damn about your family. Forget everything and work. But I think that needs to at most of 4 to 5 months for a slower person. For a fast person, that should not go on for more than 2 months. I kept on doing it until I was so shattered that I could not do it any longer. I
Hmm.
think that there is a very famous quote that the fundamental difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people prioritize important things.
Hmm.
Unsuccessful people prioritize urgent things.
Yeah.
And a person who is everywhere all the time, he's only doing urgent things. What are
Hmm.
the important things that we miss? Our health, our family. Now, if I'm always rushing to someone else's rescue, then I do not have the time to sit and think.
Yeah.
If I cannot sit and think, then I do not have any long term planning.
Yep.
I am only doing thing whenever I get a phone call, I rush there. So I have no planning, no long-term goals, no structure, no organization, nothing. I am just rushing wherever, and that is something that a person can do only in the stage of labor. If I am destined to be a clerk all my life, then okay, I can make some money by rushing everywhere. But
Mhm.
if I'm supposed to achieve something that is supposed to be organizational, that is supposed to be planned, then you need to sit down and think. I
Yep.
think that success lies in the perfect balance between. I think most people lack that balance. I'm not saying that I am sitting on the perfect balance, but then again, I'm trying to achieve the perfect balance.
Mhm.
I think people lack that balance. Some contemplate too much and never execute, and some keep on executing, but they don't take the time to sit down and contemplate.
Yep.
Like, just you can think for yourself, Saurabh, what would happen if you planned? How long did you plan while opening this first brief? Maybe just take an idea, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is.
Mhm.
What do you think you would achieve if you kept on planning about opening this first brief for a period of, let's say, 3 months? Thinking that I'll open a YouTube channel where all the big lawyers will feature, and this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do. Okay, first year is gone, I'm still planning. Okay, I'll put this there. This is not perfect, so I'll change it into something else. And then 10 years down the line, you're still planning, you are not doing anything.
Mhm.
So I think that would have been an utter debacle. Like, basically nothing would ever have featured. And
Yep.
on the other hand, if you didn't put the perfect amount of planning into getting the right lawyers, into getting the right viewers, into getting the right background, getting the right bio, getting your right set of questions, then again this would have been a very unprepared venture. So
Yep.
that is where the balance hangs. It is a perfect balance between the planning and the execution.
Mhm.
I think that the biggest mistake I did was I did not take any time to do planning. I was so eager to rush into things because basically society teaches us to go into the rat race. And the
Yep.
rat race teaches us कि अगर like आगे नहीं भागोगे तो दुनिया कुचल के चला जाएगा, like the 3 idiots quote.
भागना ही
So
सिखाती है
we
रैट।
are, yep,
रैट रेस भागना ही सिखाती है, लेकिन भाग के
exactly. So rat race भागना ही
मत
सिखाती है.
है वो नहीं
So
सिखाती।
since Exactly. So since I was racing, I didn't stop to think how far I had gone, how far I really wanted to go. And at a certain point, I would realize that I have already crossed the path where I was meant to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to start from Dalhousie to Park Circus. I have raced till Science City and realized, okay, now I have to race back to Park Circus.
Yeah.
So this is where I was going. I wasted a lot of time. I overthink is very important. That definitely you should toil, but you should toil within balance. Otherwise, the toil, there is a sweet spot for everything, the perfect balance. And that is what you should try to achieve.
Okay, that's nice. Let's move ahead to the next one now, because I think we are taking a lot of time of yours out of your big.
Not an issue. I spared the time for this.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice of you. So let's move to the next question. And I want a very good answer for this, right? Like a funnier one, because you are giving great answers till now. From a good answer, I mean a funnier one. So, judge or client, who intimidates you more and why?
Okay. So I will not answer this question. I'll just ask you another question in return.
No, you cannot
Who
ask the
is more
interviewer.
like
You cannot ask the interviewer a question. You cannot do that.
no, just let us do it the other way around. So who is more likely to call you at 12 a.m. in the midnight out of panic that I have to help you right here?
My
Judge or a
friends,
client?
my friends.
No, but when it is between a judge or a client, I would say that a client is much more likely to,
Yes,
like basically,
obviously.
judge is only there when I approach the judge. Judge
Yes,
is very unlikely to come barging in my chamber, what has gone wrong, what is here, what is there, and all that. So I would say I'm still a bit more dated by the fact that I get a lot of calls, a series of WhatsApp messages expressing their emotional frustration and anguish and all that lamentation. So I would say it's more about the client.
more about the client. Okay. And friends do that too. Want to make you to remember. My answer was also right. Friends,
Yeah, no, your answer wasn't within the scope of the question. The question was whether it's the judge or the client.
your question to ask the interviewer is out of the scope. That's why the interviewer gave you an answer which was out of the
That's
scope.
why the interviewer had to take liberty to go beyond the scope of the question.
Yes. So
That's
now
nice.
let's move to the next one. So,
Yeah.
if you could go back in time and give one piece of advice to the younger Abradeep who is just starting the profession, who is entering into this litigation field, legal practice, what piece of advice it would it be?
I cannot give one advice to this because I have two sets of advices that are equally important.
Okay.
So if I do give one, then I will be doing injustice to the other. The first one is what I answered in one of my previous answers. That is, never have a plan B.
Mm.
Just make a plan A. You can think between plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, but once you have chosen your path, choose it fast. Don't waste time thinking. Once you have made a plan A, go only for the plan A. I see everyone in the legal profession, almost if I see 90 students entering into the legal profession in their early years, or if I just take an interview of third and fourth year students of law college, everyone, they want to go for judicial. They're
Mm.
still preparing for LLM, because if they don't crack judicial, they will go for LLM.
Mm.
And then LLM might not work out also, so they're going to a senior's chamber and studying briefs alongside.
Yeah.
So everyone is having 3 to 4 plan B, C, D, E. So if you don't think you can crack judicial, then I really don't think you can crack judicial.
Yeah.
The first person who needs to have confidence in yourself is you. And
Mm.
having a plan B means you do not have confidence in yourself.
Yes.
So that is the first advice that I would give to anyone.
Mm.
The second advice is, first introspect, find out what you want to do, what you are meant to do. Do
Mm.
not join the rat race early. And
Mm.
if you find out that you're meant to do something, then encompass all the aspects of it. If you want to become a counsel, do not just do what every other counsel has done. Do not make role models of people who are not where you want to be in real life.
Mm.
I had made role model of a particular, let's say, a particular very renowned senior of our of the Calcutta High Court. I
Mm.
wanted to be like him,
Mm.
but then I noticed that he works, let's say, 14 to 16 hours a day. Do I really want to do that? And the answer was a big no. I don't want to work more than 6 to 8 hours a day.
Mm.
I want the package curated as per my requirements, which is around 6 to 8 hours work a day, a healthy work-life balance, where I get time to chill out and everything. So
Mm.
I should have never made that person my role model.
Yeah.
So we all chase glory without knowing whether that particular piece of glory is meant for us.
Mm.
As I said, that two roads diverged. This Robert Frost poem. Two roads diverged into a narrow wood, and I took the one less traveled by.
Mm.
I might have gone the one less traveled by, but it is still the one less traveled by. There was another road that is more traveled by n number of other people.
Yeah.
So I think that you should sit, think exactly where you want to be, contemplate with absolute clarity. Do not chase glory. Do not chase success as others have enshrined it. Your success is different from everyone else's.
Mm.
So
So you
those
need
would be my twofold advice.
you need to choose your path accordingly, right?
Yeah.
You cannot
Yes.
just hustle in everyone's path.
Right.
Because hustle is your own. It's very private.
Yes.
It's very sacred,
Exactly.
right? So let's move to the next one. So, how do you feel the new members or the newcomers who are entering this legal field or the legal profession or litigation or legal practice? How do you think they often get wrong about this field in their initial days?
Okay. So I think that throughout my various previous questions, I have already answered this to a great extent. So I'll just
We
keep this
want
one
you to
short.
answer it
I
once
think
again because we want you to answer it once again because every time you are answering a different question, you are putting more lights into it. That's why we are asking this. If you are feeling that this is the same question being asked, we will keep on asking that.
no, not an issue, not an issue. I am not averse to just answering it again.
Yes.
But yeah, so as I was saying,
Hmm.
newcomers were entering this profession. So basically, it encompasses all newcomers who are going into judicial, who are going into corporate, and those who are going into litigation or
Hmm.
law firms. Everyone, right? I
Hmm.
think that's the scope of the question.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that the one word that I harp on repeatedly again and again is introspection and clarity. So before you rush somewhere, you can take, I think, the last few years of college. I would ideally tell students that start interning around the fourth or fifth year of your law college. I
Hmm.
see people joining legal profession in around second year or first year of law college, and I think that is an utter ridiculous waste of time. I think the second and third year of law college is for enjoying, because we don't have to study much in law. That's a very good thing about law. You can have so many modes of enjoyment. I will not mention those here. That might not be up to the dignity and
That,
sanctity of the
that
channel, so I will
that
skip
would be
that
out
part.
of the scope
But
of the show.
I can assure the channel that yeah, I enjoyed my college life, no doubt about that. I think fourth or fifth year of law college is the ideal time to start interning. And by interning, I don't mean visiting a particular chamber and sticking there all day. It's for
Hmm.
exploring all the avenues that are available in the legal field.
Hmm.
Law is a very fast evolving industry. It is no
Yeah.
longer stuck in the black and white of courtroom litigation that it was maybe 20, 30 years ago. There are
Yeah.
so many opportunities, even there will be many that even I am not aware of.
Hmm.
So explore the opportunities, spend the last 2 years of your college life or maybe another year after that to analyze exactly what are the opportunities. Basically, I think that you need to do a thorough self career counseling, because ultimately you are the one who is supposed to know yourself best. A counselor may help, but then again, you are the one who is supposed to know yourself best. So do a very thorough career counseling, plan your path intelligently, and once you plan your path, I think it is very important to do a SWOT: the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Because if you are honest by doing the SWOT, most of us are dishonest while doing the weaknesses or the threats. That is something that we often err in the SWOT. We can make sure that no one else ever sees that, but for seeing it myself or showing it to someone who I really trust, that is also very important. So we often need to take in other people's advice. The SWOT, I think, is of paramount importance, and that is something that is habitually undermined by the people. These are the first two steps that I think they should do. And after that, the one thing that I keep on repeating, that once you have done the SWOT, once you have done the introspection, now choose a path. It has to be a realistic path. Please don't say that I want to jump to the moon. That is not a realistic path. But once you have chosen a realistic path, once you are sure that it is achievable, make a roadmap of how it is achievable. Let's say I want to make 10 CR rupees in the next year. So next 5 years, now I need to jot down that for 10 CR I need 1 lakh briefs of, let's say, 10,000 rupees, or whatever the calculation becomes. I need to write it down articulately. I need to plan it in a way. If I plan that for 10 CR I will have 10 briefs amounting to 1 CR rupees each, it is very unlikely scenario. Or if I plan that I will have 10 CR briefs amounting to 1 rupees each, that is also a very unlikely scenario. So we need to categorize it into a position where my ambitions become sustainable and feasible
Yeah.
over the time frame. I think writing it down is important. Writing it down gives you clarity, because when we think just inside the head, we miss a lot of ifs and buts. Trying to pen it, there is some kind of law. It might be called Kidlin's law or Franklin's law, whatever it is. I don't remember the name. But if you can write down a problem, half of the problem is solved. That's what the law states.
Yes.
So I think you write down the problems, and that is where you start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Abhishek, let's move to the next question. Like,
Yeah.
any book or podcast or resource that you believe the young lawyers or the newcomers to this legal field should engage with?
Well, I think it is a man to man story.
Yeah.
So, whatever makes one happy is the first step.
Mhm.
But yeah, books I strongly recommend. I think that all lawyers should be avid readers. It is not just about lawyers, it is almost about any industry. But basically, as per my experience, most successful people are avid readers. So, I
Mhm.
would just suggest that you delve into whatever book you can find.
Mhm.
One particular book that I always recommend is a book called The Courage to Be Disliked. I
Okay.
don't remember the name of the author right now. I can't remember. It's some Chinese author, probably Chinese or Japanese author, right? Sorry.
Mhm.
But why I particularly recommend this particular book? The reason being that I always propagate
Mhm.
looking into your life, getting your life sorted instead of getting the legal career sorted,
Mhm.
because the legal career is a part of life. And I think that for the legal career, our industry is one which is hugely dominated by conventional thought process, and early blooming requires a break from that conventional thought process.
Yeah.
So I very much recommend that particular book, because any person who is going to break free of the conventions, who is going to do something non-conventional in a conventional industry,
Mhm.
is likely to invoke the wrath and ire of a series of convention tests.
Yeah.
And which is why I think that that particular book is very important. At least it had a substantial impact on me. But then again, psychological impact is something that, like, motivation and philosophical value is something people find in n number of places. So I won't say the same book that inspired some kind of particular thought channel in me is bound to do so in others.
Mhm.
So I would just generally say whatever book you can delve into.
Yeah.
And as for podcasts, well, I am not too much into podcasts, but there is definitely one podcast that I may recommend. That is the one being done right now.
We are doing right now.
And other than that, I'm not too much into podcasts.
Yeah.
So I think for
The
that,
young,
I'll generally pass.
the young lawyers should engage with this podcast. I think there is a lot of things which they can learn from this one, right?
I really hope so.
Yeah, no, no, they will surely going to learn a lot of things from this interview. So now let's go for the last one for the evening or last one for the day, as we can say. So it's nearing, I think, 10 years now in this legal field for you, right? So what kept you going? What is your why?
Okay. So, one very big reason, if
Yeah.
I have to put it down into one word,
Mm-hmm.
It's impact.
Yeah.
Obviously, the primary motivation for any kind of career, I'll be honest, is money. That is where things begin. That is where we start with.
Mm-hmm.
But then after a point, like even the part of money is required to have a kind of impact in the world. It's not just about sustenance after a
Yeah.
point. So the profession provides me a platform. The
Mm-hmm.
profession provides me an identity. The profession provides me a room to contribute.
Yeah.
And I think that is all fundamental for self recognition, because we are all answerable to ourselves at the end of the day. What I have done today, what I am going to do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I really can't look at life after being in this, sitting in this particular chair that I'm sitting on right now for the last several years. I really can't look at life and say that I am no one in
Yeah.
life. So this industry makes me someone.
Yeah.
So I think my why is the impact. The idea that one well timed intervention, one good piece of advice, one strategy that clicks, all of this can change someone's life or business. So
Mm-hmm.
I think this is power and responsibility combined together.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what keeps me out of bed and when everything is feeling chaotic. So I think that is what keeps me going the impact. And I really wish to create a bigger impact. Like even the ability to be on this channel today, right now, right here. That
Mm-hmm.
is because I am here. And
Yeah.
that is what I mean by the impact. So the impact that I create and the impact that I am empowered to create,
Mm-hmm.
that is what keeps me going.
And you will create a much better or much bigger impact in the future. That I promise.
I really hope so. Thanks for your wishes.
Yeah. So with that question, we are now to the end of this show, right? Thank you, Abhijit. Thank you so much for joining us on the first brief.
You're really welcome and thanks a lot for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome, Abhijit. So I have a last question with you. It's not about the interview. It's about the people who will gonna see your interview. Like if anyone wants to connect with you, have any questions or follow your work. So for that, can we
Yeah.
share the LinkedIn profile of yours in the video description of this video? Do you give
You're
us?
more than welcome and yeah. You are more than welcome to share the LinkedIn profile. You are more than welcome to share my social media handles, even though I'm honestly not very active on social media. So
Mhm,
anyone who wants to connect, I would suggest do it through LinkedIn because that is the only one I'm fairly active in.
mhm.
But yeah, if anyone manages to reach out, if I notice that someone has reached out, then I'll be most willing to help.
Okay. So now this is
Great.
the end of the second episode. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Okay, great. Bye.
Bye. So that was today's episode of the first brief. If you found this inspiring, consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with someone who might benefit.